Before I came to the Wellness Way, I was a labor and delivery nurse at a hospital in Appleton. I loved my job. It was such a special opportunity for me to be with women as they were welcoming their little one into the earth for the first time. There were moments that were really, really happy, and there were also moments, as you can imagine, that were really sad. And it was such an honor to be with these women at some of the best and worst seasons of their life. You see, I was about as medically minded as you can get. If it was recommended by the doctors and it was in our policies and procedures and it was all the things I learned in nursing school, what we were taught was just basically obey, 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 carry out the orders, don't really question anything. And I did. I recommended a lot of things that I probably wouldn't recommend to people today. But what I learned was that maybe the medical model wasn't the best model for me when I myself started to become sick and medicine failed me. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis when I was just 21 years old, and I had polycystic ovarian syndrome, and I really, really struggled with my weight, and I had autoimmunity, and I just was sicker and sicker and sicker, and I went to specialist after specialist. I was miserable, and I was realizing I wasn't getting healthier. I tried everything and I trusted those doctors, and I was beginning to lose hope that I would ever feel better. I started to think, well, who else might be able to think outside the box and maybe offer me some hope for improvement? I thought that there was nothing on the planet that could change my mind and perspective of what medicine could be until I met Dr. Patrick Flynn. Once I met him, my life was forever changed, and I attended an inflammation talk that he had here in Green Bay. One of the things that he talked about in there was the fireman and the carpenter principle. And when he talked about the fireman and the carpenter principle, it made me realize I didn't have to choose between medicine and the natural world, but there was a time and a place for both. In the fireman and the carpenter principle, Dr. Patrick talked about how when your house is on fire, who are you gonna call? The fire department, right? They're the right people for the job. So they're gonna come to that house, they're gonna knock down the doors, and they're gonna spray down all the walls. They've got two tools in their tool belts. They've got axes and hoses. And in that 10 minutes that they've been there, they've ruined your entire house, and you stand there grateful, right? The axes and the hoses, they're not good for the house, but they put out the fire. But finally, I realized it was up to me. It was up to the patient. And I realized that if I can start to connect these dots and figure out what is causing inflammation within my body and within those of others, that there's literally nothing you can't figure out. And when Dr. Patrick said, our bodies don't make a mistake, we do, I was like, oh, you're right. And I started to reflect, yeah, I don't have a great diet. I don't exercise. I don't take care of myself. I don't do all those things. And he looked at me for the first time and he said, Nicole, we will figure this out. We don't guess, we test. And he was the first doctor that made me feel validated, that made me feel like I wasn't a crazy person. And finally, I felt like I had a tour guide for my health, not a savior, but a tour guide. And once I started seeing some of those changes in my own life, I knew that I had to do everything in my power to turn this into a career to help others to do the same. Now, today, every single day, I see plenty of patients that are coming in for various conditions. You know, it's not just women's health, although that's my passion, but I see different people that are struggling with autoimmune diseases, hormonal imbalances, people struggling with cancer or Lyme disease, people that are coming in with, just even upset stomach or irritable bowel syndrome, or, the list goes on and on and on, or children with behavioral issues. And I'm so grateful that I'm in a place now where instead of just giving them a drug and kicking them out the door, I can take the time to listen. I can take the time to help them connect the dots and take the time to dig deeper, to test properly, to find out why these things are happening. Not just that they're happening, but the why. And once we can come up with the why, then we can inspire them to start to make some changes to help heal them from the inside out. And honestly, I can't imagine practicing as a nurse practitioner in any other model. Here, I go home revived. I go home excited that there are people actually getting well, people that were so sick that couldn't get off the couch, now going and grocery shopping. People that couldn't leave the house because of a super painful cycle, now able to go to work and play with their children. It's the most rewarding career I could have ever asked for. I'm gonna ask you this, nurses, how many of you feel trapped that you can't really help people because you always have to stay within the box? You always have to think the same, just repeat the dialogue, right? We're supposed to recommend all the vaccines, recommend all the medications, whether or not you even agree with those things, without questioning it. But now I welcome you to join a world where questioning is what makes us so special and so unique. Being able to question the narrative, being able to question the mainstream, being able to dig deeper and really figure out the why so that people can genuinely heal. And for the first time, you as a nurse can be in the opportunity to actually help someone, to see them heal, not cover up their problem with a Band-Aid, but to see it come to fruition and to actually see it just all come together for them to find their true healing. Like I said, I can't imagine doing it any other way.
Wellness Way stories are glimpses into personal experiences shared between patients and doctors. These insightful stories share the perspective that was captured during their health restoration journey. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more heartfelt content from the Wellness Way.